Recording. All right, welcome. So you may know me as the Spoon Guy on the internet. Many of you do, more than 500,000 of you do, or at least have seen me in the capacity of creating spoons. But a lot of people don't know this. I'm actually, more of a writer than I am anything else. I've not spent a tremendous amount of my life thinking about spoons, but I have thought about many other things. And the spoon carving is just a metaphor that seems to fit uh, my lifestyle, I suppose. But anyway, um, but I used to be an English teacher, and poetry is one of the things that I hold very dear. One of my old university professors described poetry as a spontaneous overflow of emotion that could be expressed no other way than in verse. So that is what I'm going to do today. So today I'm going to not necessarily go in order. We're just going to do one poem at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the poem to you, and then I'm going to go through and sort of unpack the poem, or at least unpack what I was thinking when I was writing the poem and why I made certain creative decisions. And the reason I'm doing this is one for me because sometimes I like to make sure that I have certain reasons that I do things, and part two is some people enjoy this sort of thing, especially if you're a student of poetry um, or studying it or whatnot, or a high school student trying to you know get an A on a assignment. But anyway, first poem I'm going to read is called Poem 4. I don't like to name my poems because it kind of takes away the mysticism of the process of reading, because you kind of, it slowly tells itself. You don't want any hints. It's kind of like a little bit of a spoiler. That's what a title is. But anyway, how perfidious those circles to imagine the ticks are ours, those melodic steps of time, a docent of our bodies to others, steadily waning, an eclipse, a little less light to see every single day. Just yesterday I saw the sun fall, a circle, a clock, sundial, the beating of the wings of cicadas, the bass of bullfrogs, little tings from squirrels and trees, my heart alit with premonition, beating in time with my pocket watch. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed my reading of that poem. So let me unpack this a little bit. If you did not get what I was talking about at all, and you're like, bruh, what's she saying? Like, what that mean? I'm gonna hear. I'm here for you. I'm gonna help. All right. So this first part, I am talking. Maybe you should do some work. How perfidious? First thing we need to do is know what that means. Perfidious is a very negative connotation word, and it means deceitful or like lying. So how those lying circles, to imagine the ticks are ours, and of course here I'm referring to clocks and the idea of the invention of clocks, because we took our existence and how long we're here and put it into a unit, and the unit of measurement of that is time, and the things that keep time are clocks. So that's where I was going with that. And I kind of tie that into those melodic steps. And this is a little bit of a personification here. Melodic, obviously referring to the metric of how a clock sounds when it ticks. And it's a little bit of personification because steps is something frequently referred to when we're walking, but it's not necessarily a hard personification because there are other definition of steps that don't necessarily mean a human taking steps. But anyway, you get the point. I was trying to be clever. And then I kind of break it of time, um, and I did that because melodic steps of time is kind of melodic steps of time. It's kind of like very metrical in my mind. I don't know, sounds good, so I did it. So anyway, so all this is talking about, um, the deceit we tell ourselves of trying to keep time as any sort of unit. Um, and then I change tone. So if anybody is familiar with analyzing poetry, you may be familiar with one way of looking at it, which is TP fast. And one of the elements of that, it's an acronym, and it's something high schoolers use. But if you're familiar with that, which many of you probably are, the T in the middle there stands for tone, and specifically a change in tone. So a docent of our bodies to others. And what I mean by this is, well, you have to know what a docent is. It's like a tour guide. Um, a tour guide of our bodies to others. So what I mean by this is we are a very cerebral thing that cannot be pinpointed. If you say, like, where are you? If you had to pick a 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter cube that is most representative of you, where would it be? It would most likely be somewhere in your brain, right? So we're this sort of brain being a dose, and our body is just a docent, you know. Um, uh, we tell our muscles to do certain things and our throats to vibrate to create certain sounds that when strung together have meaning, supposed meaning from one person to another. So that's where I was going with that um, in a very dense way. I mean, of course, if you're familiar with Hemingway's iceberg theory, where a writer should only really talk, give the reader the iceberg, and if you've ever seen an iceberg, very small on the top, bunch to unpack underneath. That's, I agree with that, very minimalist. That's why I write short poems, so they can be reread and reread and reread and reread, and kind of, each time you can go a little bit deeper in the iceberg. Anyway, steadily waning in eclipse, a little less light to see every single day. This is in reference to, it's exhausting being a docent of your body to others, controlling your body in a certain way to manipulate, or not necessarily manipulate, but to put some sort of outward appearance. And it gets very, like going into wintertime is the metaphor I'm using here. There's less light to see every day, and light is something that's positive, and when there's less of something, obviously it's a negative thing. Just yesterday I saw the sun fall, a circle, a clock, a sundial. So if you were at all confused, I'm kind of solidifying that, those circles that tick are indeed clocks, a circle, a clock, sundial. I'm literally telling you that the circle I was talking about is a clock, sundial. I just sounded nice. After clock might not be necessary. But anyway, and then I have kind of a transcendental moment here. This is the part that matters. This is the part that's me. I kind of go off on a tangent, I think. And maybe in the poem I should have separated something, maybe an asterisk or something, some sort of creative separation here. I thought I did it with this little line break, much like Emily Dickinson used, but I don't use it, I don't think, as effectively as she does. If I did, I would probably be not making this video right now, and I would be speaking at like the Pulitzer Prize thing or whatever. But anyway, so anyway, I have this little break here, and the beating of the wings of cicadas, the bass of bullfrogs, little tings from squirrels in trees. So I go away from talking about time. I'm no longer talking about time. I'm no longer talking about anything decaying. And then my heart alit with premonition, beating in time with my pocket watch. So I had this brief moment of sort of transcendental presentness in the moment, where I felt that none of this mattered, none of those deceitful circles, none of this pocket watch, and then I instantly come out of it as quickly. I didn't even separate it. And so instant as it came, it left. And then my heart alit with premonition. And premonition is not a good thing. It's feeling that something bad is going to happen. Ultimately, you know, with time, bad things happen to people, diseases and decay and, death and whatnot. So my heart alit with premonition, beating in time with my pocket watch, which is the thing that I carry very closely in my pocket. I didn't literally have a pocket watch. Like, I live in the 21st century. I don't carry a pocket watch. I use a phone or whatever, but beating in time with my iPhone didn't work. So pocket watch it was. Um, but something that we keep, very close with us. We always know what time it is. And I found that rather interesting. But for this brief moment right here, I was able to escape it. This transcendental moment where, you know, the beating of the wings of the cicadas replaced the beating of the clock. The bass of the bullfrogs, which is also kind of melodic, replaced any concept of time. And it was very, very enjoyable moment where I was able to find peace. And then, it goes from negative to that to right back to, this. The actual experience that inspired this poem was at Lake Stumpy. I was tenkara fishing with a fly. It's kind of like fly fishing if you're not familiar with it. And there was nobody there. There was no wind, and there were bugs everywhere, dragonflies, and all sorts of beautiful things happening. And the sun was going down, and we were going into winter, so it was a little bit chilly. And I just remember, I didn't hear the bass of bullfrogs. I don't know if the beating of the wings of cicadas. I took my creative freedoms, but I feel like this batch of words right here is best, at least to me, to describe that eighth of a second moment that I had, and it's those moments that I like to capture, sort of like a snapshot, like a really powerful picture. A picture is only a fraction of a moment that was in the world, and a poem is kind of like that, only uh, in words instead of uh, physical art. So anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope this isn't too vain, me going over why I wrote my own poem. I just felt like doing it because I had a I had an experience tonight that reminded me of this moment. So I figured I'd do it, and why not? Somebody might enjoy it. So anyway, I'll catch you guys next time.